Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 12th of March 2025. These are the stories that we will be deciphering during the course of the show. We'll begin with Pakistan's war against terror. We have been seeing and have been discussing the different aspects of this war against terror that has engulfed Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa since the last couple of months. And of course, it is due to the valiant exercises and sacrifices of our armed forces that we are where we are as we speak. The number of incidents has also increased. A lot of think tanks have said that since 2014, 2024 has been the deadliest year as far as such incidents is concerned. What is the methodology behind it? Why is this happening, and why is this happening in two different regions? Of course, we will also be highlighting the latest incident concerning the Jafar Express. But the fact is that a lot of questions emanate within the minds of people as to the security paradigm of the country, and also what needs to be done as far as kinetic and non-kinetic operations are concerned against all these elements, so as to thwart Pakistan of all such terror outfits once and for all. This is going to be our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Ukraine-Russia conflict that has now entered its 1112th day today. Now, some positive developments have come as far as this is concerned. Ukraine has agreed to a 30-day ceasefire on US's insistence, but of course everybody says now the ball is in Russia's court. But Russia says that it does not want a short-term ceasefire. Whatever happened, it wants it to be a long-term exercise and a long-term solution to it. So will Russia agree to it is another question altogether. Then of course the talks that have finally happened between the US and the Ukrainian side that we thought a couple of days back would not happen because of the spat between Zelensky and Donald Trump, but now they have actually happened, and Donald Trump has also changed his stance vis-a-vis the Ukrainian leader. Is this going to move in the right direction and pave the way for peace in this conflict after so many hundreds of days is something that we will discuss in our second segment. Then we are going to talk about Indian cities that are amongst the most polluted in the world. There are about 20 cities that the reports talk about that are extremely polluted, and of course we'll highlight on what needs to be done by the Indian government in this regard. Finally, we'll be talking about the 32nd death anniversary of a revolutionary poet Habib Jalib that is being observed across the world, including in Pakistan today. So let's begin with today's newsroom, and of course we'll begin with Pakistan's war against terror. We have been highlighting it in the past days as well, but the fact is we need to highlight it as much as possible so that our audience understands the perspective as far as Pakistan is concerned, also the mentality of all the nefarious elements, these terrorist outfits, whether it be the Fitna al-Kharij, whether it be the BLA or other such outfits that are trying to create or have created havoc in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Why doing this? Why do this? Why destabilize Pakistan? Who are the elements behind this and behind these terrorists as well is what we will be discussing in this segment. We've been joined by a Major General retired Tariq Rashid Khan Sahib. He's a defense analyst. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us, and thank you very much to have come in the studios. I hope Ramadan is treating you and your family well.
You're most welcome. It's a pleasure, always a pleasure.
Now, let's begin with the latest incident that is on the Jafar Express at Bolan Pass, Dhadar, where innocent civilians were, of course, targeted, and our security forces have cleared the area and started the clearance operation. We have 27 terrorists who have been sent to hell, and more than 150 who have been now sent back to their loved ones amongst those who had been captured by the terrorist outfits. I'd like to understand, under these circumstances, when we see a lot of incidents, not of this sort, but of course incidents concerning terrorists and terrorist outfits who try to destabilize Pakistan in different areas of Pakistan, what should be Pakistan's counter-terrorism strategy, whether it be in kinetic form or non-kinetic form? Are we doing the right thing? Should we be more stringent as far as our reaction is concerned? What's your take on that? For somebody who understands Pakistan, who served in the different areas that are now being targeted by such nefarious elements.
Thank you very much. Since I would like to state right from the beginning that I have served for about 4 long years in continuation in Balochistan as a senior commander. And at the time of heightened insurgency, I'm talking of early 2007. And the Pakistan counter-terrorism strategy is quite comprehensive, but we need to keep updating it as the situation, for example, changes. What I need to, for example, suggest is that the government of Pakistan needs to take the people of Balochistan and KPK, especially in Balochistan, on board. And you need to inspire them that instead of sympathizing or in some kind of doing some facilitations for these terrorists, especially the BLA, BRF, BLF, etc., they should immediately report presence of such terrorists to the states. And then we also, since in Balochistan, there is the Sardari system. So, and there are B areas. So B areas are those areas where you have levies. And over 90% of the area in Balochistan is the B area, and where the Sardars have the control. So levies are enrolled by Sardars and employed by the deputy commissioner who has no experience of dealing with the, for example, how to employ the law enforcement agencies. So you need to convert all these B areas into A areas ASP. A couple of years have passed. We have been highlighting this aspect, but till date this has not been done. This has already been done in the General Musharraf regime in 2007. All the B areas were converted into the A areas. So A areas are those where you have a presence of the police. So you need to have a uniform application of law in whole of the Balochistan, in whole of the KPK. So these are I think is the important cardinal points which need to be incorporated, updated in our counter-terrorism strategy.
All right. Another aspect is the involvement of regional players in destabilizing Pakistan. We have our not so friendly neighbor India that we have highlighted time and again, but the fact is that India has been involved in such incidents, whether it be in Balochistan or in KP, whether it be directly or whether it be indirectly through these nefarious outfits. Even in this Jafar Express incident that happened, the terrorists work in contact with their facilitators abroad and the mastermind who is in Afghanistan. Do things like this surprise us anymore, or does it surprise the global media when they talk about it? And if it does not surprise them, then why is the world not doing the needful to apprehend or to sanction such countries in the region that are involved in terrorist activities in other countries of the region?
So see, once we talk of the global media or international communities or global world, so I think this is, the global sees the situation as per their own perspective. This world is led by, so far, a unipolar world by the US. So see, whatever Mr. Trump says, the whole world reacts to it. And India, for example, now his ugly face of India now is being seen by the world. Gradually, it is dawning onto the world. Like Canada has expelled their ambassador from Canada as a person non grata. There are cases being registered against some of the senior elements of Indian BJP government in US. US is returning those Indians who are involved in, for example, illegal activities in US. Australia is repatriating them. So gradually the world is coming to realize and know this ugly and dual face of India. So whatever enemies of Pakistan can do, they will keep doing it. We have to see our own house. We have to see, put our own house in order. Whatever we can do, we should do it. So we should hold people accountable who are not with the state of Pakistan. For example, this Jafar Express incident happened. So I was seeing on the media, the Indian media was stating or portraying a picture as they are doing a live commentary of a cricket match, minute to minute, and who was reporting them from here?
Yes. Who was giving them the
information? Who was giving them these
or disinformation? Let's
disinformation.
Yes.
So there is a law in Pakistan already promulgated to deal with the misinformation and disinformation. So if we have intercepted their calls, they should be apprehended. And the case should be tried speedily and they should be punished. Let me tell you a very interesting statistics about the Balochistan. Now, Balochistan in the last year, the maximum incidence has happened in Balochistan. But if you compare the state of anti-terrorist courts which have been established, just 9 courts are there. 23 courts are in Punjab, with the conviction rate of 72%. There are 32 anti-terrorist courts in Sindh with the 54% conviction rates. There are 19 courts in KPK with the conviction rate of 35%. Balochistan, which is the most affected, there are just nine courts, and conviction rate is 6%. So many anti-terror, anti-state incidents are happening in Balochistan, and see the conviction rate, which is 6%. So the Chief Justice of Pakistan, the Chief Justice of Balochistan need to take cognizance of this situation, and they need to address it.
Well, how should Pakistan, for example, address this anti-state false propaganda that you talked about, that is rampant on Indian media, on Indian social media as well? Fake AI-based, visuals are being generated, and it is being portrayed as if Pakistan is in a completely different state of affairs, and which is far, far away from the reality. And then a lot of people watch it. A lot of people watch it in their country. A lot of people watch it across the world. And people fail to understand or fail to demarcate between what is true and what is false. What should Pakistan do? What move should Pakistan make in order to counter this?
Pakistan has already passed and they have made the laws dealing with the misinformation and disinformation. We need to, I think, have more stringent laws, which if anybody is found within Pakistan, especially doing this misinformation and disinformation, he need to be apprehended and then speedily punished. Those who are sitting abroad and they are talking against the Pakistan, we also need to see in which country they are sitting. And even if they are sitting abroad, we should lodge cases against them in Pakistani court, and we should punish them. And state should show a zero tolerance for anybody who goes against the narrative of the state of Pakistan. For example, in this case, the Jaffa train incident, unfortunate this incident. So there is a state media. So they need to play an effective role and in a way that people listen to them. Instead of listening to them, they should stop listening to the foreign media. You need to have a superior narrative where the people have confidence in their own government, that whatever a government is saying, that is credible.
True. I understand that. Now, what I also want to understand is what a lot of people have been saying, and I've also said in my show as well. These terrorist outfits that claim to be Muslims, that claim to be from either they say are from Pakistan or from our neighboring country, that is Afghanistan, and seep into Pakistan through the porous borders between Pakistan and Afghanistan. They call themselves Muslim. But the acts that they involve themselves in are completely contrary to the Islamic principles, injunctions, and their own state of religion, if I might call that. How can, such people or such a community or such a country call itself or call themselves Muslims or Islamic, and then on top of that do such heinous incidents during the holy month of Ramadan, when our religion has been very, very open and straightforward as far as how to deal with in state of war?
Yes, very right. So they are not Muslim. They are not even human beings. But Islam says that if you kill one person, you have killed the whole humanity. It doesn't say that you have killed the whole Muslim. It calls off whole humanity, in which the Christians are included, in the Jews are included, in which the Hindus are included. So these are not humans. They are inhumans, and we need to deal them with the stringent measures and with full power of the state. State has very big power. It's very potent, and if the state wants to utilize this power against such element, they can use it. So, for example, they have attacked recently on this madrasa in Koda Khatak, and then those who have been apprehended, there are tattoos on their bodies. And earlier we saw they were not even circumcised. So these are absolutely not Muslim. They are not even, we call them humans. They are those, for example, who have some vested interest or who have very myopic and very short-sighted vision. They need to be eliminated. There is no other remedy for them. And for that, the nation has to support the present government. We have to, for example, address our shortcomings, and as a whole of nation approach, we have to deal with this.
We've seen recent incidents in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. We've seen how the terrorists emanated from the borders, and I've just said that from Afghanistan into Pakistan. Pakistan time and again asked the Afghan interim government to do the needful. It says that this is an internal problem of Pakistan. It's not their problem. Nevertheless, the terrorists come from Afghanistan and they are being given all the support from the Afghan interim government. Also, this Jafar Express incident, the terrorists have been in contact with the masterminds who are in Afghanistan as well. I'd like to understand, what is the agenda of these terrorists? Terrorists that belong to a country, at least this is what I think, that Pakistan has been helping over the last decades. Secondly, why do they do what they do over the last few years, over the last few months, and what do they want to achieve through it?
I think they have a philosophy or some kind of indoctrination that they want to have a world or a country where they want to promote their own kind of Islam, very distorted image of Islam, for example, because they are the one who have been fighting against the USSR, then they were fighting against the USA, and then they were toppled, they were removed, and the US came in here. So this is quite a complex things. So what we can do is that we have to guard our borders. We should have such kind of arrangement because we have a very porous border. So we need to have a strategy or measures that we have to show zero tolerance anybody illegally crossing to the Pakistan. Then, as you pointed out, there's evidence of social media, and so we need to counter that with our own laws. And then if we have a proof, which we keep talking of, about the India, about the Afghanistan, or about the US indirectly supporting them. So we remain engaged with these powers, these countries in a different way. For example, we have a direct hotline as a DGMO level with India. So we have a foreign office engagement with them. We have head of state or head of the government. They can talk to with them at any time. So we need to engage with them, and then we should, for example, try to talk to them from the position of strength. So whatever leverage we have against Afghanistan, we should use that. That leverage is in the shape of, for example, setting out their complete lifeline, or over 3 million refugees here. And with India, for example, we had stopped, for example, practically supporting the liberation war in Kashmir. If they don't take out their hand from, for example, Afghanistan, if they don't mend their behavior, we have other options. So we should exercise all options which are available to us in the spectrum of the so-called insurgency war.
All right, but this is the fact that this is an insurgency that we are seeing time and again, rear its ugly head in different regions of Pakistan. And Pakistan's security apparatus is very strong, and that's why we don't see as many incidents happening as they could have. But it is because of the efforts of our security apparatus, of our defense forces, that we at least see such incidents, but not as much as they could have been. Pakistan reiterates that it will continue, General Saab, to take all necessary measures to protect the country from terrorist outfits in Afghanistan, and has called out Kabul for failing to address the threat posed to the region. This was said by Munir Akram Saab, who's our ambassador at the United Nations Security Council briefing on Afghanistan in New York. He asserts that Kabul authorities had failed to address the threat, and he says that the TTP with 6,000 fighters is the largest designated terrorist organization operating from Afghanistan, and that also it receives external support and financing from our principal adversary. Under these circumstances, we all know who's behind it, what's happening, how it is being strategized. Should we take more stringent measures now in the wake of incidents like that of Jafar Express, in the wake of incidents such as what happened in Bannu, in other areas as well? There is a cycle of such incidents that has been happening since 2022, more or less, and we are now in 2025. What should be? I mean, you said that our collective strategy is good. We have NACTA. We have a program that calls for take certain steps. National Action Plan that has been updated time and again. But what more do we need?
I think what more we need to do is that the Pakistan, they need to stand with the government of Pakistan, and the government of Pakistan need to inspire people. They, for example, all the terrorists which have been apprehended, if you investigate them, they come out that they joined these elements, but because of the sense of deprivations. They were very poor. they thought there is no scope for them in Pakistan. And so state of Pakistan should offer them those things which are more lucrative, attractive for them as compared to the terrorist who recruits them. So that means that in Balochistan especially, you need to have more jobs creation, you need to connect all districts, you need to improve infrastructure. Till date, the Sardar, for example, the Mari Sardar and Bukti Sardar have not led the government to construct a road between these two adjoining and neighboring districts. And this is the state of in other division and districts also. So and then you need to convert B areas into A areas, you need to have a uniform form of government, you need to have more anti-terrorist courts, and they need to decide these cases speedily and punish them as quickly as possible, and then suitably it should be highlighted in the media. So you need to have a superior media campaign. You need to win the hearts and mind of the people of various provinces. The state of the government of Pakistan need to reach out to these affected areas most frequently, contact them, take them on board, and those foreign elements who are involved them, you need to talk at the state level or through your multilateral friends who can put pressure on them to address the situation.
All right, but worse comes to worse, what should be Pakistan's, way forward as in forms of kinetic operations if things like these continue, if we know who the perpetrators are that are emanating from across the border?
I think what need to done is we need to little upgrade our more intelligence system, that incident of such big nature, I'm sure there must be some information with them. So why couldn't we preempt such incidents? I remember in our time, once I was the operational commander in Balochistan, there was a situation more severe than this. The Akbar Bukti had died, and there was a kind of, for example, even worse situation as compared to the present time. And then, but we had addressed them. So at that time, all the tunnels in Balochistan through which the railway was passing, all the bridges from where the transport was passing, they were guarded. All the important tactical ground, there was a presence of law enforcing agencies there, and we were able to control it. So we have a sizable presence of law enforcing agencies in Balochistan. So they need to little upgrade and synergize their effort to address this situation. And the state need to provide them the resources and then give them the mission, and they need to accomplish that mission. And the mission is to restore law and order in Balochistan and to fight against this terrorism collectively and make Pakistan, for example, strong and prosperous country with every passing day.
You said earlier in our discussion that the onus of responsibility comes squarely on us in Pakistan because the regional players or the world bodies are not doing the needful. But isn't it their responsibility as well? Because when we have so many terrorist outfits in Afghanistan, for example, outfits that could also endanger the Western interests as well in the days to come or in the months to come, don't you feel it is a collective responsibility of the world to move together? And if not so, then is it not a fact that it is the global north that is letting such things boil and simmer, and when it will be too late to handle them, only then will they enter the fray?
You see, if the Pakistan become very strong, already you are militarily very strong, you are a nuclear capable, nuclear established powers. You are the only country in 57 Muslim countries, OIC, who has such a potent military and nuclear capability. So a weak and destabilized Pakistan suits, I would say, the developed world or those who have interest in this region, especially against the China. So, for example, India took the Kashmir issue to UN, and she is the biggest violator of the UN resolution. What UN has done against India? Gaza, we see over 50,000 people have been butchered. Whole Gaza has been turned into rebels. And there's so much of destruction, death, and, for example, human crisis which is there. What global community is doing? What to talk of global community? What Muslim world is doing collectively? So the world sees things from their own perspective. So they will keep seeing it. But Pakistan has a great geographical, geostrategic locations, and it is the interest of America, China, Russia, and India also to remain engaged with Pakistan. So we have to play our cards suitably and we need to have no compromise on the national, as far as national interest is concerned. We have to relegate our personal petty interest to a lower importance, and the supreme importance is the interest of Pakistan. And whatever is the interest of Pakistan, we should do it right from the government to a single, for example, normal citizen of Pakistan. We should be on one page, and we should have no doubt in our mind that the interest of the state of Pakistan is always supreme, and it has always come first everywhere and always.
All right. Finally, I mean, you talk of petty interests. We also see a lot of divisions within the society when it comes to the perspective of fighting terrorism in Pakistan. What needs to be done? How should our powers that be move forward in a way to put all the stakeholders on one page as far as issues such as terrorism and ending terrorism once and for all from Pakistani soil is concerned? What needs to be done?
I think what needs to be done is that the government needs to take all political parties. They should call them, make them sit on one table, explain them the gravity of the situations, its implication, and then take them on board.
But is it an easy task, because there are certain parties that do not want to listen to what our powers?
I think for the interest of Pakistan, they have to listen it to. Historically, whenever there is a threat, for example, threat of war or some crisis like a flood situation, earthquake, the whole nation unite together. So the government, it is mainly responsibility of the government of Pakistan. They need to call everybody, take them on board, explain them, and those who are not, for example, do not listen to them, then the media need to educate masses. Masses need to understand which party is with the government, which party is against the government. So any party which is talking against army, which is talking against our defense forces, which is talking against the state of Pakistan, the judiciary of Pakistan, though we need to improve, but anybody talking against and they are favoring the anti-state elements narrative, giving more importance to that as compared to be with the Pakistan government, they need to be exposed. And then they also need to be taken to task.
Yes, and taken to task in a very robust manner,
very
effective manner.
So it serves as a deterrent also for the people who are fence-sitter or watching them. So we need to be very clear. You are with the state of Pakistan,
or you are not.
You are not.
All right. Thank you very much, Major General Retired Tariq Rashid Khan Sahab, to have the studios to have discussed this. This is something that is very close to your heart, to mine, and to many others who love our country and who want our country to prosper. And this is what we need to do in order to make the people understand as much as possible as to what the reality of things are and how we need to move together as a nation in order to end this cycle of violence once and for all.
I'll just let me conclude that overcome we will out of this. We will get out. We will come out of this situation as a more stronger and prosperous. Because Pakistan here is to stay, and we say, what is the meaning of Pakistan? It is La ilaha illallah. So we have come a long way. So the enemies of Pakistan, some few states, and somebody sitting inside, they will never be able to succeed. We are a nuclear power. We are a nation of 250 million people. We are the fourth most intelligent people in the world. We have everything nature has given us in abundance, which makes a country strong. So we have all the right things with us. Only what we need to do is that, as earlier said, we need to first, for example, stand with the state of Pakistan and keep the interest of state of Pakistan supreme over everything.
Thank you very much, Major General Tariq Rashid Khan Sahab, to have joined us. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this segment. We'll be back after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Russia-Ukraine conflict that has now entered its 1,112th day today. But some good developments have happened. The U.S. and Ukraine have sat together in Jeddah and have thwarted out apparently their differences, and the U.S. has agreed to resume military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. On top of that, Ukraine has also agreed to move with a 30-day ceasefire agreement. Now, the US and Ukraine both say that the ball lies literally in Russia's court. But Russia has had certain reservations when it comes to short-term agreements. It has said that whatever agreement needs to be done on a long-term basis and should be a definitive agreement that is done between both the parties. At the same time, there are these crunch talks. The EU is also showing a very clear stance that it is siding with Ukraine as far as this whole conflict is concerned. But at the same time, it is also very pro any agreement between both the sides. How is all of this going to move along in the wake of also violence that engulfs the people that are part of the region that is engulfed in this conflict? Will it end? Will it not end? Is a huge question mark, and only at this moment Russia can answer that pertinent question. We've been joined by two guests to talk about these updates and more. Let me introduce them to you one by one. In the studios, we've been joined by Ambassador Naila Chauhan. Thank you very much, ma'am, to have joined us. And online, we've been joined by Arno Devilla. He's a political consultant and he joins us from Moscow. Thank you very much, Arno, to have joined us. Let's begin with you, Ambassador Naila Chauhan. The US and Ukraine issue a joint statement saying that the Ukrainian government is ready for a 30-day ceasefire proposal, which will now go to Russia for approval. European leaders hail this announcement. They say it is a breakthrough that could help bring Russia's war in Ukraine to a close. Trump also confirms that he plans to talk to Russian President Vladimir Putin about the deal. He says it takes two to tango, quote unquote. What happens now? Is Russia going to agree to it? Because Russia has had a very clear stance that it will not accept a temporary ceasefire, saying this temporary ceasefire could allow Ukraine to regroup itself or restabilize itself. What happens if this 30-day agreement is agreed to, and what happens after these 30 days? What was your assumption?
Well, as I understand it, Russia is not in favor of temporary ceasefire because Mr. Putin thinks that this will give time to Ukraine to rearm itself and the war will perpetuate. What Mr. Putin is saying is that if there is going to be a ceasefire through negotiated settlement, it should be a durable ceasefire. Now, it remains to be seen how it plays out, the understanding that took place in Jeddah. Mr. Putin from even before the start of the war had made his position very clear. He did not want Ukraine to become member of NATO. He did not want West to arm Ukraine because he thought this would perpetuate the war. And if you recall, when Mr. Trump had called for a ceasefire, stop giving them arms, it was welcomed by Mr. Putin. That, well, if there is no arms supply from the West, then perhaps Ukraine will come to the table. Now you can see Mr. Zelensky has expressed his willingness to come to the negotiating table, and Mr. Trump also, after what happened at the Oval Office, has stated that he would be willing to receive Mr. Zelensky in the Oval Office again. So all these developments are positive developments, but it remains to be seen, Mr. Bhatt, what will be the terms and conditions of the settlement of this so-called war between Russia and Ukraine, but obviously there are many players in it.
There are many players in it, and there are many question marks as there are players. Arno Devilla, coming to you, what do you foresee as far as this whole development is concerned? On the one hand, we had the US that had stopped military aid, and then the US says that the security assistance and intelligence sharing has now resumed with Ukraine. Then the talk of the 30-day ceasefire, and we all know that Russia wants a permanent solution to this, not a temporary solution as far as ceasefires go. Then Donald Trump says that we have to go to Russia. Hopefully President Putin will agree to what they have agreed to with Ukraine as well, and we can get this show on the road. But he also says one more thing. Trump says, and I quote what he says, he said, if we cannot make Russia to agree to it, we just keep going on and people are going to get killed, lots of people. Is Donald Trump also indirectly implying that Russia might not agree to a temporary ceasefire solution as agreed to between Ukraine and the US, and this could lead to an increase in violence or an increase in hostilities as far as the current situation is concerned? What's your take on that?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Well, obviously, don't presume to know what the Russian president will decide on Friday, since Friday is when the US delegation is to come and meet him to discuss this ceasefire proposal. Suffice it to say that here in Moscow, influential voices are somewhat skeptical of this proposal, keeping in mind that we have witnessed in the past similar situations where the European Union and or the Ukrainian central government were militarily speaking on the ground in a very sketchy situation, and they implored a ceasefire. This led to the now defunct Minsk Accords, which were never implemented, and we know for a fact that they were never meant to be implemented, but rather allow time for Ukraine to rearm and mobilize with the objective of retaking what it considered its territories by force. So in Moscow, we have grown weary of Western promises. Let's recall that merely 2 days ago, Kiev initiated the largest launch of drones over Moscow regions, leading to the deaths of 3 civilians. The drones, partially, some of them were loaded with ball bearings so as to inflict maximum damages on those civilians. And so in Moscow right now, we are somewhat exasperated to the extent Moscow were to agree to any kind of ceasefire. As your guest mentioned, it would have to be a long-term ceasefire and involve the unilateral withdrawal of all Ukrainian troops from officially recognized, by Russia at least, borders of Donbass and Novorossiya. This would be probably a better start as a framework to sit down and discuss, since Russia is asking for its new subjects, the 4 regions that voted in the referendum back in 2022 to be recognized in the international texts, and also that guarantees that what's left of Ukraine will not join NATO. So we're a long way between the two parties right now, and I'm somewhat pessimistic as to the outcome of Friday's meetings.
Okay, Mr. Anu, I'd also like to understand, the RIA state news agency reports that the Russian Foreign Ministry has said that contact with the US is imminent now in the wake of these developments. And this, of course, has been the first official statement from Russia as far as the deal between the Ukrainian side and the American side is concerned. What are the expectations from the Russian side? Because we all know that the Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff is also going to travel to Moscow this very week to meet with Vladimir Putin. What is the expectation from the Russian side now that these developments have happened?
Well, I mean, the foreign ministry here indeed has confirmed that there are talks being initiated by the US side. But Peskov, the spokesperson for the Kremlin, has underlined that at this point, nothing of substance has been heard. Nothing of substance in thus far as Moscow is concerned anyway. And that right now, the two countries are in the process of normalization after 3 years of literally no communication whatsoever. So Maria Zakharova herself was very adamant about the fact that despite what we hear in Western media, everything is really all about statements and or revelations that are being made throughout the Western world, which bear no reality in as far as what really is being discussed. So I think this is more about communication on the side of the Trump administration, trying to portray themselves as peacemaker and trying to find an escape route, a political face-saving situation. To the extent Russia does not agree with this ceasefire proposal, keeping in mind that Russia has the initiative, as it were, they have all the cards here. They have quasi-liberated the Kursk Oblast, and the 1,500 mile long front line is expected to collapse at any moment. So all kind of threats bearing on additional sanctions, and we just heard, as you mentioned, that there's a resumption now of military intelligence, which we could expect will be used to maybe initiate long-range missile attacks deep into Russian territory. I don't think those are the development, or at least the actions that Moscow wants to see in order to really feel optimistic about a genuine willingness to bring this conflict to an end.
I understand. Ambassador Naila Chauhan, Zelensky also gives an official statement after this deal. He says that he talks about this 30-day ceasefire. He says this ceasefire will be for this duration, and it will not only be regarding missiles, drones, and bombs, not only in the Black Sea, but also along the entire front line. So there will be a complete ceasefire as far as all of this is concerned. But of course, he again says that the U.S. must now convince Russia to do the same. And if Russia agrees to it, the ceasefire could begin immediately. How genuine, how sincere is Ukraine, in your point of view, when it comes to this ceasefire deal? Because they were not really agreeing to it in the past, but now they have under pressure from the US. But will they stay by their word?
The thing is that for Ukraine, it's an existential issue. So they have to take this negotiation very seriously. As far as Mr. Trump is concerned, earlier on he was talking about, having a deal. And Marco Rubio also, after the meeting in Jeddah, stated that the mining was not the main topic, but obviously if excuse me, US is allowed to do the mining, it will kind of balance the cost of expenditures that would be required and also improve their economy.
I want to develop my last question to you. Russian Foreign Minister says he discussed in Moscow the settlement of his country's war on Ukraine with Feridun Sriloglu, who is the Secretary General of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. He talked about how this conflict could be resolved. He said that the Russian president has repeatedly emphasized his readiness for negotiations. That is important, that the Russian side is ready for negotiations as long as they are concrete. Now, when you look at Russia's initiatives as far as ending this war is concerned, or the statements that have been made as far as a probable end to this war is concerned, but at the same time, there are certain question marks that the Russian side has regarding the peacekeeping missions that could be employed in the region once the war ends. What is the Russian point of view when it comes to the ending of the war and this post-war scenario? What does Russia want once the war ends? Does it not want the peacekeeping missions? Does it have any other idea?
Well, first of all, let's recall that Russia has extended peace offerings going back, of course, during the Minsk Accords, to which Russia was a signatory. Resolution 2202, which the special military operation is but an extension. It's a police power operation per the resolution. We also had those initiatives of the Istanbul talks early into the conflict in March 2022, which Boris Johnson promptly hijacked. And basically, the Russian side has always expressed its willingness to sit down and discuss, but only within the context of guaranteeing Russian security interest. This was part of the draft proposal sent in late 2021 by Russia to its Western partners, bearing on a redefining of European security and the notion that NATO would not extend into including Ukraine. So to that extent, I would say that this has always been Russia's position. Now, as far as the issue of the peacekeeping forces are concerned, well, obviously, if we do not want Ukraine into NATO, we do not want NATO into Ukraine, which is what we've been hearing from Zelensky recently. So European NATO member forces being deployed anywhere on Ukraine territory, this was stated repeatedly by Sergei Lavrov, will be considered hostile forces, as it were. So Russia is not against the deployment of peacekeeping troops, but certainly not from NATO countries.
Right, so this is something also that has been made amply clear by the Russian side as well, and that of course NATO should not, Ukraine should not be part of NATO, and this is what it has been saying even since many years, and this is why also this conflict has escalated to the level that it has. Thank you very much, Arno Devela, political consultant from Moscow, to have journalists who have given us your point of view as far as this conflict between Russia and Ukraine is concerned. And thank you very much, Ambassador Nala Chauhan Sahib, as well, to have joined us and to have discussed it from a more broader perspective as well. Let's come to our last two stories. The first concerns Indian cities that are said to be the most polluted in the world as far as many other reports are concerned. They talk about 20 Indian cities that are apparently extremely polluted. 13 Indian cities and cities amongst the world's 20 most polluted cities, and New Delhi, it says, tops the list of most polluted capitals, and other cities are there, Mulanpur in Punjab, Faridabad, Loni, Gurugram, and of course Greater Noida, Bhiwada, Muzaffarnagar, and Noida. And of course there are other names as well, but I just wanted to give you the crux of it as to the responsibility of the Indian government as well to take measures, important measures, so as to reduce the air pollution within its different cities. Pollution, of course, is a major hazard when it comes to India, and we've seen that in the past few months as well. Indian people are also facing a lot of difficulties in breathing. There are so many diseases that are associated with the air pollution that has engulfed so many people across so many states in India, where there have been, as per statistics, 1.5 million deaths due to malnutrition in India every year as well, and also the air quality index was recorded as 1267 among the most polluted cities. Lastly, our last story today concerns Habib Jalib Sahib. Today is his 32nd death anniversary of this poet that we can say was a revolutionary through his work, through his poetry. He was born on the 24th of March 1928 in Hoshiarpur district of British India. He, of course, through his work touched the hearts of millions of people in his very distinct, unique style. He is considered to be amongst the most influential Urdu poets in Pakistan. His famous collections include Sar Maktal, Zikr Behte Khoon Ka, or Gumbat Ke Bidar, and Kulliyat Habib Jalib. Many other collections of poetry as well that have touched millions of hearts, not only in Pakistan but across the world. He passed away on this very day in 1993 in Lahore, but he, of course, leaves behind his legacy. That is through his work that people still, understand and have the same perspective, let's put it that way, or maybe feel the same way that he used to feel so many years back. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to today's, the end of today's Newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new story segments that pertain to us, you in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.